Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Thursday, August the 4th. Alright, so there's some good news and bad, but we'll start with the good today. How about this? Forbes' list of the top colleges of 2011 is out, and yes, the usual names are on there. If you're thinking Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, yeah, they're all on there in the top 10. In fact, every single school that you have to pay for in the top 10 costs more than $50,000 per year. Not exactly the most affordable place to send your kids. However, 2 of the 8 in the top 10 are beyond affordable. They're absolutely free to your kids if they're admitted. And that's what I think is especially cool about this year's list. The U.S. Military Academy and the U.S. Air Force Academy both are in the top 10 as being the best overall colleges in the country. So you want to talk about serving the country and getting something back. Huge, huge consideration for your kids if they're so inclined to serve, because you can't buy a better education, except for maybe at 2 colleges. Princeton and Williams, for the second year in a row, did finish ahead of the U.S. Military Academy. But I thought that was pretty cool. 90%. 90% of anything is an overwhelming majority. And when it comes down to 90% of all U.S. cities seeing unemployment rise in June, that's not good. And we got the ADP private sector employment number yesterday that showed that 114,000 private sector jobs were created in June. Part of the problem, though, was the only sector that saw improvement in the entire economy was the service sector. So everything else was declining, which speaks to 90% of all cities seeing lost unemployment. Keep in mind that at a minimum, we have to create 120,000 jobs per month just to keep up with the demand. By the time we get the government numbers tomorrow, we're likely to continue to see the trend of government workers being laid off at the state and local level. I expect that the overall number will be in the neighborhood of 50,000 jobs having been created, which at a minimum means that our unemployment rate will stay the same or possibly even rise another tenth or 2. So, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's the reality that we live in right now. Here's something that's interesting. There's been all this battle that's been playing out for the distribution of videos and television. We know Netflix, Hulu. You have the folks like Blockbuster that have tried to make a running jump at it. Amazon's getting in the game. Apple TV is even looking to do this. Hulu, though, stepped out yesterday and said that they're going to start developing unique content, because if you create it and you own it, you certainly can distribute it. And I think this might be an interesting path that some of these other TV companies might take with streaming video. You know, it's interesting. Glenn Beck started his own TV network recently, and maybe he was actually onto something, because that's what Hulu is looking at doing. They're going to create 6 hours worth of unique programming. They've teamed up with Morgan Spurlock, he of the not-so-happy McDonald's movie a couple years back that you might remember. So, yeah, we'll follow that and see what's going on. Meanwhile, China, a day after their credit rating agency ended up downgrading our credit, the country itself came out and warned us to manage our debt better. They said it simply is unacceptable for us to be gaining debt at a faster rate than the economy is growing. So we've heard from China's credit rating agency, and now we've heard from them. The problem here is they're the #1 holder of our debt. So if they decide to stop buying it, guess what? We got issues. Alright, so the cyber attacks that played out recently, this ended up being a huge deal. Much bigger than anybody realized. It was organized terrorism. They've been working for 5 years, targeting more than 70 different government agencies and companies. And so we definitely have to treat the online world in terrorism the same way we do the rest of the intelligence surrounding terrorism, because a breach of this size that was taking place for 5 years is certainly as coordinated as other major terrorist attacks we've seen. I've got a review of the Samsung Galaxy that you can check out on my cheat sheet today. Fastest tablet on the market. And also, NFL free agency. Forbes is saying that the biggest losers right now, the Bears, 49ers, and yes, your Miami Dolphins. You can check out the cheat sheet, the source links, and decide for yourself. See you tomorrow.